Okay, notable albums, extreme metal from the year 2019. As ever, playlist at the end for those of you who just want the music. Okay, let's start 2019 off with Wisdom at Worship, the project I used to do with a good friend of mine who played the drums, and I basically did everything else. There we are, looking rather moody on the cliff tops. Yeah, listening back to this one, I miss those sort of chaotic riffs I used to write, like the ding 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 ding, and that sort of thing. So I need to get more of that back into my modern writing process. Love that chaotic style. Another album which came out in 2019 was Bolt Action, Born to Riff. I do lead vocals in this band now, but at the time this was more of a sort of solo project for Bolton, and I did guest vocals on here along with quite a few of us who were in the Andrew Bolton, so he did vocals, Steve Moyle, who does backing vocals now, and Jim Taylor, who did lead vocals and my coaches, and of course me. So yeah, we had good fun doing that. Yeah, it was a really cool little introduction to Bolt Action. There's only one song on here which is like a sort of 30-second grind song that we play in the set now, because most of it comes from Animalium Retribution and of course the upcoming album. So anyway, moving on to the sort of releases that I wasn't involved in the year 2019, we've got Blood Red Throne, Fit to Kill. I didn't enjoy this one so much. I thought this was a bit of a weaker one. Felt a bit mediocre, that one, in all honesty. Although it's not terrible, they've definitely done better. Warforged, iVoice, is that? Yes. Really long and experimental sort of modern tech death, with cool like keyboard bits in it as well. I haven't listened to this for ages actually, but yeah, it's a cool band. Should check out. I expect they've done more since then as well. Oh yes, 1 year after the amazing debut, Howling Sycamore came out with 7 Pathways to Annihilation, which maybe a 6 or a 7 from what I can remember in my head. Yeah, I just remember being really excited to get it. But it did seem rather soon after the amazing Howling Sycamore album of 2018, which is, like I said last week, is probably close to a 10. I don't know whether this was sort of like B-sides or whether they were just like so amped after the success of the first one, or what. I don't know what it was. But this, although it's still a good album, it's nowhere near the masterpiece that the first one is. Okay. The Great Old Ones, Cosmicism. Yeah, so at this point, the Great Old Ones, they've moved away quite far away from their sort of like humble black metal beginnings, with the more like murky production and for me that was a much greater harnessing of emotion, like those earlier albums. I found this one, in all honesty, to be a little bit bland, although I haven't listened to it for a long time. But yeah, I should probably give it another go. So again, it's certainly not a bad album, but definitely not a highlight, in my opinion. Okay, Malevolent Creation, The 13th Beast. Pretty good album. I really like the dude who came in for vocals on this. I've forgotten his name now, but I thought he did a really decent job. He's had real good. Oh, it was Lee. Yeah, that Lee. Try and butcher his second name, Lee Woolenschläger or something like that. Anyway, I thought he did a really good job on this album. It's quite sort of to a click track. The production is a bit sort of brick wall, but yeah, it's decent. It's definitely not one of their best, but yeah, I would happily stick this around a 7.5 in their discography. Oh yeah, this was pretty cool. I can't remember why I bought this. I think it was just like a random Bandcamp purchase. I just really liked the artwork and feel of it. Trond. It's jumping out at me. Oh, that's cool. I don't know if you can pick that up with the camera, but it has like the artwork on the bottom side of this CD as well, especially around the rim there. It's pretty cool. Not many albums do that. And no idea why this is in here. Maybe this came with it. Art Trine. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's like a sampler CD or something. I think it came from Russia or somewhere. I remember it came in like some cool, like old school, like Russian postage stuff. I've got loads of promotional stuff there as well, so it must be something like that. Anyway, yeah, cool album. Just sort of like yeah, dirty, sort of weird Eastern European black metal. Like it. Exhumed. Played with these guys earlier this year. A cool band, man. Yeah, long running. This one was a bit just solely on the horror type thing. Hence the name of the album. But yeah, I think it's to do with like 80s video flicks or something, like old video nasties or something. Anyway, music-wise, it's just like good death grind. Grindy death. Well, it's not really like traditional death metal. Gore. I want to call it gore grind either, but it's like maybe gory death. Who knows? Okay, we got Wounds with Light Eater. These guys are a cool band. Really good, sort of like tight, technical death metal band. Not at the top of the tech death bar, but certainly nowhere near the bottom either. Just a really good, sort of solid, technical death metal album, that one. Rest in peace, Mr. Browning. I was gutted when I heard that he died, because I really liked the Nocturnus AD project. I thought it was fantastic. This is probably one of the best albums since sort of early Nocturnus, I would say. It's definitely got the key vibes going on throughout. Yeah, really enjoyed this, and the one after this as well was really good. It came out in 24. Can't remember what that's called now, but yeah, we've got the sort of Cthulhu stuff going on, and yeah, just really cool band. It's just such a unique take on the death metal thing, and obviously there since the dawn of it, with the keyboards and you know, the drummer doing the vocals, so you usually end up with like vocal patterns that just sort of, they're definitely there. They've got a really unique thing going on. Love me a bit of Nocturnus CD. Rest in peace, Mike. Cattle Decapitation, Death Atlas. Yeah, I think this is one of the first. So I remember sort of Karma, Bloody Karma coming out and being a big thing back in the mid 2000s, or at least where I was. It sort of was the album that sort of put them more into the spotlight. I never really sort of like, I don't dislike them, but they never really gelled with me. But this was the album that really like made me sort of get back into them and pay them a lot more attention. And this one and the one after, is it called Terrorsight, I think? They're both like phenomenal albums. Yeah, so really cool album from Cattle Decap there. Great vocalist too. Inanimate Existence, Clockwork, really solid, sort of like well thought out and nice sounding tech death. Yeah, really great band. One of those bands that sort of flirted with like the more like modern, I don't know, like deathcore stuff, a bit like the Red Chord or whatever when they first started. They're one of those sort of like on the fence bands for me that I ended up like sort of like getting into and really enjoying. So yeah, Inanimate Existence, awesome band. Okay, over to Ireland next for Waylander and, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, Eruz a Wheel. I think this is to do with sort of the passage of time, and it looks like it. Really cool album artwork actually. Yeah, really decent. Yeah, Waylander. I like Celtic folk metal a lot. There they are, all the chaps, and these guys have been going a long time, since the 90s. For my money, I don't enjoy them quite as much as like Krauken, but they are a really good band, and that is a really decent slab of Irish folk metal. Okay, we got a nice big box here for Mayhem Demon. God, you can tell they're a very financially successful band, because that is going to cost a little bit of money to manufacture. Look at that. That is quality though. That is a quality release. Yeah, awesome. Musically, very much in the later vein of Mayhem, with the sort of dual, well, now long-running sort of, what was that? Dual-running guitar lineup. Necrobutcher and Attila and Hellhammer on drums. Media book edition, limited. Ooh. But yeah, no, just sort of, yeah, very much in that. My favourite Mayhem album, of course, is Order ad Chaos. I can't, yeah, that's just something else for me. But I still enjoy the later Mayhem stuff. It's still good, and there's some decent songs on here. Okay, moving on. Oh yes, this is a really cool band. Crypts, Cadaver, Circulation, dark, sort of catchy death doom. I'd say yeah, I don't know how to describe it. Real thick death metal with groovy riffs in there, or like memorable riffs. Yeah, really cool band, Crypts. I bought this just because Origin are my favourite bands, and I just bought everything really. This, I believe, this whole thing is played by Paul Ryan, who is the guitar player predominantly, but he played the drums, bass, vocals, everything on this. And it's re-recordings from their very earliest songs, I think. Yeah, and it's cool. Yeah, I think I don't know whether it's in here or I read an interview or something. He's like, never again am I doing everything on an album. But yeah, nice little sort of abiogenesis coming into existence. Yeah, a nice little homage to the very early days of Origin. So yeah, good. Okay, this is I've heard that this has been sort of remastered or remixed several times now. This is Cole Exile, so this is basically Balsagoth without Byron on vocals. Yeah, and it's really decent. It's always going to be compared to Balsagoth because, you know, there's like many members, and it's really decent. But yeah, it's not. Yeah, Balsagoth's members together beneath a new banner. And it's a long time since, was it 2006? Or, yeah, I think it was 2006 that the last Balsagoth came out, and this is 2019, so that's a big old gap. It would be nice if they'd sort of like found their footings, and I don't know whether it's like a time thing or they got families now or whatever, I don't know, but it would have been nice to have seen at least another album since then. Which, as far as I know, I haven't actually looked them up, but as far as I know, it's only this one. And it's a decent album, maybe a 7.5, 8, something like that, from memory. Again, I haven't listened to it for a long time, whereas I have listened to Balsagoth quite a few times since. Oh yes, the Meads of Asphodel, Running Out of Time, Doing Nothing. Yep, I wouldn't put this up there with either The Murder of Jesus the Jew or Sonder Commando. For me, they are easily their two best records. But yeah, it's still pretty unique and decent in the way that the Meads do. I mean, there's no one else like the Meads of Asphodel, which is why I'm really interested in them. The sort of British eccentricities you don't find in any other band or any other sort of music on the planet. Really unique band. Awesome. Okay, we've got, I have no idea how to pronounce this properly, but I'm going to go with Mispirming or something like that. And the album is called Algelimi, maybe. Yeah, this is Icelandic black metal. You can see you've got big sort of decent black metal sort of energy going on, along with the sort of like very distant, cold harshness of Iceland, I suppose. You didn't get much more cold than a place called Iceland, I'm guessing. Maybe the Antarctic. Okay, 2019 brought us the album which had ridiculous hype around it. I'm talking about Blood Incantation, Hidden History of the Human Race. So, oh, I've got a sort of patch in here. Yeah, so for once, this is a band that actually lived up to the hype. It's a fantastic album, great band. They deserve all the success that they're getting. I love the fact that they're not afraid to just go off and on whatever tangent they want and just do what they want. And yeah, this was definitely the album that broke away from the traditional sort of death metal blueprint. Like Starspawn has some bits in it, but this sort of, it was definitely a further blossoming. And then obviously, as time's gone on, they've got more and more into the sort of just music as a whole genre, you know, from death metal sections to, you know, Pink Floyd type stuff on the latest one. But yeah, really cool album, and again, one that actually lived up to the hype, which doesn't happen very often. Okay, I think this is pronounced Meilingar or Meilingar, Doda Schlalar, maybe. Ooh, this is a nasty sounding album. I mean, this is proper nasty. Yeah, yeah. These guys, I don't know why they're so angry, and so pissed off. But hell, this album is it's up there. I always remember, like, I had a mate round and we were both sort of enjoying a tipple or two, and I used to like put in like nature documentaries on like on mute, and then just like listen to stuff really loud. I always remember this one really stuck in my head for like it was like I don't know, like a wolf like devouring a carcass or something, or jackals or whatever it was, and this was like going full volume. It was just so nasty. It was like great visuals to accompany the great music. Okay, so 2019 obviously brought me a lot more records than I remember. So moving swiftly on to the second half, we've got Decibel Omega, the Furnaces of Pelagonesia, perhaps, something like that. Lovely upbeat artwork and lyrics. You cannot even find the ruins. Of course, they're doing their Decibel Omega thing and doing like the most extreme sort of out there stuff that they can. That's cool artwork. But yeah, really interesting stuff as usual from these heavyweights of French black metal. Really cool album. Oh yes, French black metal continues. Blutas Nord. A friend of mine actually gave me this because he likes the earlier stuff, and he bought this and was a bit disappointed. I find this album to be fantastic. It's obviously nothing like the earlier stuff in terms of harshness, and much more sort of mellow and sort of out there for sure. But yeah, I really enjoyed this album. Yeah, really liked this album. Thought it was great. Yeah, so that's a cracking release from Blutas Nord, in my opinion. Okay, Vitriol, To Bathe from the Throat of Cowardice. So this, a bit like Nile did in the early 2000s, there was a band who like really sort of pushed it in terms of extremity of what could be done with the death metal blueprint. For me, these guys are doing that again, because it's just so like relentless and friggin' angry. I think the main guy, I think he's called Kyle. I think he can be quite difficult to get along with, judging by the fact that most of his band abandoned him on the road, so he can't be the easiest of people to get along with. But musically, hell, yeah. I don't know how long this sort of like anger and intensity can be sustained for, because it really is like a one-trick pony, but goddamn does it do it well. Okay, Demiurgon or Demiurgon. So the Demiurge is the false god who created the world, and that's why the world is so nasty apparently. So it's a pretty cool name for a death metal band. Yeah, Italian, brutal death metal, cannot go wrong. Really enjoy this band. Nothing new, but just really satisfying. Cool band. Ooh, yeah, now talking about chaotic riffs earlier. So this is the Defago or Defago, I, the Devil. This is insane. This is like just absolutely absolute madness. Established 1989, so they've been going a long time. Not sure whether they look sort of South American. I could be getting that wrong. Or maybe it's the Philippines or something. I can't remember now. Anyway, God, this is a real true. If you want to spell true with a V, then this would be one of those albums. Yeah, real sort of chaos, and yeah, again, that's not an easy listen, but whew, yeah, it's just pure, very, very pure. Really, really cool album when I'm in the mood for stuff like that. Nothing else hits the spot. So we've got England's esoteric, Pyrrhic existence. So if something is Pyrrhic, I think that means that it's one at too high a cost, or is it Pyrrhic? Is that extreme skepticism? I can't remember now. I'd have to look it up. Anyway, Esoteric are renowned for doing very, very long double albums of funeral doom, and to be honest, they're easily one of the best bands on the planet for that style. Easily. They're absolutely incredible. Again, this is a really nice release. This is Season and Mist putting out a nice thick audio book, media book, or whatever it's called. But yeah, really, really nice release. That, and awesome band. Long-running Polish brutal death metal band, Nebulous, cowbell masters. One of the few brutal death metal bands that has a cowbell in the kit, and all the better for it. Yeah, and another cracking album. I really like the sound of the lead guitars on this. They sound sort of like distant and futuristic. Well, just they're off on their own things. Some really, really cool choices of note structures as well, and yeah, just a really, really awesome band. Cannot go wrong with Nebulous. Just awesome. Okay, this I picked up. I was really heavily into the project London from Sweden, and I think this is one of the members who went on to do Elder. This is Nordebetraktelsi. Probably sounds nothing like that if you can actually say it properly. But anyway, I'm not from Sweden, I'm from Cornwall. Really, really, really decent album, this one, of sort of like simplistic black metal. I've forgotten what song it is, but it's one of the songs on here is just so good. It's sort of almost like a rock beat to it, and it's got like a not black and roll, but just sort of like it's really catchy. It sort of almost like reminds me of like a black metal AC/DC riff, but it was yeah, just really, really cool. Really cool album. Okay, so these are getting into the top tier now. Body Harvest, criminally underrated. Rest in peace, Jake, who was the sort of main mastermind behind this project. My good buds, who were in Human Mycosis at the time, toured with these guys. This is an album, again, that is really, really pushing the boundaries. It spent a lot of time figuring out their tones and whatnot and everything else. And yeah, this is really, really, I mean, it's on Comatose, you can tell it's extreme and heavy. And probably by that album art cover as well. But there's a lot of sort of like Fear Factory, sort of, I think that was Jake's favourite band. The drumming on this is like really intense as well, and everything just seems really ramped up. So yeah, rest in peace, mate, but you left an amazing legacy with this album for sure. Well good. Okay, I got Spirituality and Distortion. This grew on me, this one. I think the track listing is a bit weak. Flow of the album doesn't feel as strong as like Savage Sinusoid, but nevertheless, it is a really good album. I don't know why I keep these, but I do. Yeah, so really, really cool. As ever, it's Igor, so it's just like batshit bonkers crazy, which is great because it's so refreshing to listen to music like that. Yeah, really, really cool release. It grew on me a lot for sure. Again, I don't think it's as good as some of the earlier ones. I think it could have like had 2 or 3 tracks maybe as bonus to improve the sort of flow of the album. But overall, it's really good. As you can see, I left this in my van for a long time and it got nibbled by a snail or something. So, but hey ho. Okay. Oh yeah, Devourment came back with Obscene Majesty in 2019. Now, I didn't. So I sort of got into Devourment around Unleash the Carnival sort of time. And I didn't understand the sort of like the original fans didn't sort of like that period of Devourment so much because it was like cleaned up and production was a lot clearer and stuff. So going back to this, like how low tuned the drums are once again, and sort of like the murk. Once I got that production and like the satisfaction that brings to the brutality of the music, I was like, now I understand why certain brutal death metal fans prefer the earlier stuff, because yeah, this was a grower, this one. I listened to it maybe 2 or 3 times. It's like, yeah, it's okay. But then over time, I just kept coming back to it. And then, it, like I say, when that clicked, when that production and sort of like, I was just like, oh man, this is ace. Nothing else is quite hitting the spot. So yeah, cracking album. Okay, I guess these are my top 3 of 2019. Sjorstog van Skapening, maybe I said that correctly. So these are one of my favourite, if not my favourite black metal bands. By this point it's just 2 members. Everything's getting more and more sort of primitive sounding. And this is a really cool journey. It's like, I think it's just 1 track, very long and doing lots of different things. I always appreciate them sort of experimenting and basically in a world of sort of copycats and clones just sounding on their own black metal path. So yes, Sjorstog, excellent. Here's a band that really impressed me in 2019. Long running brutal death metal band, Prostitute Disfigurement. Yep, they're certainly not pulling any punches with song titles like Fight a Transvestite. But yeah, I've heard a couple of people who've seen them live. Sadly, I've not yet to see them live. But they've said they've been the heaviest band I've ever seen. So hopefully one day I'll get to see them. Yeah, it's sort of going with like a sort of suffocation catchiness in the riff department. Super heavy, and got to give them fucking credit for sticking to their guns. You know, a lot of bands in like the early 2000s when no one really cared about this music were like just saying horrible, nasty things like constantly, and that was sort of like a big part of the music. And you know, over time that sort of gets watered down as the albums and, you know, money gets involved, labels. I think they got kicked off Willowtip for this release, I think. What is this on? Rising Nemesis Records. Yeah, I think just because it was like misogynistic or something. It was like, well, the whole of like early death metal music history has a hell of a lot of misogyny in it. But yeah, so kudos for them just sticking to their guns and not giving a fuck. And yeah, wow, what a fucking satisfying album. Really, really decent slab of death metal. Excellent. Wormed, Metaportal. This is easily one of, it's either this, well, it's either, like in the terms of brutal death metal, this is definitely, I would say, like the best EP made. And after this one, I would say it's death metal, traditional death metal, maybe Suffocation. So yeah, Suffocation, Despise the Sun. Or this one is Wormed, Metaportal. Savage, high velocity death metal, destruction at large. It's just faultless. It's just a faultless, amazing death metal EP, or brutal death metal EP. I cannot fault it. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I can listen to it on repeat again and again and again. It's just perfect. So that's my favourite of 2019, and which wraps it up for this week. Yeah. If you've got any suggestions of stuff I missed for 2019, put them in the comments below. Updating these lists all the time. Ooh, gonna break the big 2020 next week. So I'll see you then. Cheers.